For 12 years, I was the one who held his hand at 3 a.m. when the pain got bad. Not his son, not his daughter. Me, Rosalind, the woman they introduced to guests as the housekeeper, even after everyone in that house knew exactly what I really was to him. On the day of the will reading, Victoria wore black Chanel and a smile that never once reached her eyes. Marcus checked his watch 3 times before the lawyer even sat down. Neither of them looked at me. Why would they? In their minds, I wasn't family. I was furniture that happened to cook dinner. What they didn't know was that I was holding an envelope in my purse. What they really didn't know was how close I'd come, 4 months earlier, to never getting the chance to use it at all. Let me tell you how we got there. 12 years earlier, I answered an ad for a live-in caregiver for a recently widowed man in Connecticut. Harold Whitfield was 71, sharp-tongued, grieving, and furious at a world that had taken his wife too soon. His children visited twice a year, Christmas and his birthday, and left within hours both times. I learned his coffee order, his medication schedule, the exact way he liked his newspaper folded. Over the years, employer stopped being the right word. He taught me to play chess. I taught him to text his grandchildren, who he barely knew. We became, in every way that mattered, each other's family. The children never said anything cruel outright. That's what made it harder to fight. It was always dressed as love. "Dad, you're tired more than you used to be," Victoria would say, refilling his water glass, her voice soft as silk. "We just want to make sure things are organized, in case anything happens." "In case anything happens" became her favorite phrase. She said it at Thanksgiving. She said it after his last hospital stay. Each time, a little more paperwork appeared on the kitchen table beside it. Marcus was quieter about it, which somehow felt worse. He'd sit across from his father during Sunday calls and ask small, reasonable-sounding questions. Who's managing the accounts now? Does Rosalind have access to those? Shouldn't a family member be on the deed just to be safe? I never argued. I just watched Harold's face when they left the room, the way his shoulders dropped an inch, like he was setting down something heavy he'd been holding up for their entire visit. Then, 5 months ago, it happened. The thing I still can't fully explain, even now. Victoria came alone one Tuesday with a folder. Not the will, a power of attorney update. Just a formality, she said, so we can help you manage things without you having to worry. Harold was exhausted that week. He'd had a bad reaction to a new medication, and exhaustion, I've learned, makes people agreeable in ways they aren't when they're strong. I was upstairs. I didn't hear the conversation. By the time I came down, it was done. Harold's signature, fresh ink, at the bottom of a document that would have given Victoria full control of his accounts, and, eventually, grounds to argue he could no longer make his own decisions at all. Victoria left with the papers in her bag and something close to triumph in her walk, and Harold sat in his chair by the window, very still, staring at his own hand like it belonged to someone else. "I don't know why I signed it," he said finally. "She just kept talking, and it was easier to agree than to think." He looked at me. "Rosalind, what did I just do?" I want to be honest about something. In that moment, I was afraid too. Not for myself, for him. Because a signed document is a signed document, and I had no legal right to undo it. So I did the only thing I could do. I called Marlene Ostro, an elder law attorney I'd read about years earlier, purely out of my own worry for people in Harold's position. I'd never met her, I called her that same night. She explained that a power of attorney signed under exhaustion and pressure, without independent counsel present, could be challenged, but only if we moved fast, and only if Harold's own competency and intent going forward were documented beyond question. He needs to revoke it himself, she told me. Today, if possible. And then we build a record so thick no judge can argue he wasn't of sound mind when he did it. I drove Harold to her office myself that same afternoon. He revoked the document in front of an independent witness, on video, stating clearly and calmly why. Dr. Alvarez conducted a full cognitive evaluation 2 days later. Sharp, thorough, unimpeachable. And Harold, quietly furious now in a way I'd never seen from him, rewrote his will. This isn't revenge, he told me, and I believed him. This is just making sure the truth gets written down before someone else gets to write it for me again. Harold died in March, peacefully, in his own bed, my hand in his. He never told Victoria or Marcus what he'd done. Let them find out with everyone else, he said. Some truths only work if the room is watching. At the reading, their lawyer, the one Victoria had handpicked, read the old will. The one that split everything cleanly between the two children and named Victoria as executor. Her shoulders relaxed. Marcus actually smiled. That's when I stood up and placed the envelope on the table. There's a newer will, I said, filed 5 months ago, following a formally revoked power of attorney and a documented competency evaluation. I have copies of both, along with signed witness statements. Victoria's face went the color of old paper. That's not possible, she said. He would have told me. Marcus reached for the envelope like he could make it disappear by touching it. Their lawyers simply said, I'll need to see that immediately. The revocation video played in front of a judge 9 days later, as part of a challenge Victoria filed, convinced no record of that afternoon existed. It ended her case in under an hour. I still fold newspapers out of habit some mornings. Old habits, like old loyalties, don't disappear just because the person they were for is gone. So tell me, if you'd watched someone you loved sign away his own protection in a moment of exhaustion, would you have known what to do? Or would you have found out, the way I did, that sometimes love means moving faster than the people trying to take everything?